Hey guys, welcome to a new episode of Lunar Nation. This is your boy Sagoon, and I got my fellow co-host Arrow, Harsh, and Franz. You guys want to say what's up?
Hey, what's
What's
up,
going on,
guys? How's it
people?
going?
What up?
Yo, 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 yo!
It's
This
been a minute.
episode is gonna be it's been a huge minute. So this episode I think will be really exciting. It's about the FIFA World Cup. If you have been living under a rock and you don't know what the World Cup is, the World Cup is a football tournament that's hosted with 32 teams, and it's taking place in the country of Qatar. So, just wanted to just do like a brief introduction of the World Cup itself. The World Cup initially started in 1930. So think about it. Long time ago. Long time ago. So
And
much history. So many teams have won it, including the record champions, which is Viva Brazil. So it's a really interesting competition that happens every 4 years, and this is the one that's happening in Qatar, and I think it's going to be a really good competition. It only started just this Sunday, so we had a couple of games today. We're gonna have four more games tomorrow, so I'm really looking forward to it. I don't know if you guys want to add anything to that, but I'm really excited for this. So
yeah, personally, I'm always excited for the World Cup because it only comes around every 4 years. Personally, I'm a soccer fan myself. Growing up in
football.
Europe, football, yes. Thank you, Sigmund. Maybe some of the audience might not know
Football,
it,
yeah.
so
No, football.
we'll transition to
Football.
football and soccer. So I'm sure the audience might make sense of which is which. So again, like I said, I grew up in Europe, so I mean it's one of the world's most popular sports. It's pretty much seen all over the globe, and one of the sports that I really love and grew up on. And the World Cup is just a joy, just connecting with friends, family, and just enjoying the game. These nations competing with each other. Unfortunately, my team is not in it this year. They weren't that great. I'm always with Italy, but it is what it is. What can I do? Maybe next time when they're because
maybe
actually,
maybe in the U.S.
yeah, I was
So
gonna
it's
say they're
they're
hosting in the United States 4 years from now. So I'm actually hoping I can probably visit some of this. I don't know what cities they're planning on to, but I'm hoping to visit and actually go to an actual tournament and
the
see it live. That would be
the
amazing experience.
closest yeah, the closest Franz would be either I think Toronto or I think Cincinnati or something like that. So I think
Yeah, I wouldn't. They're probably
that
not
would be
doing it in Detroit,
reasonable.
right?
They're not, unfortunately, not going to do it in Detroit, which really got me like disappointed because I wanted to see it here, but I'm going to go and see it. I mean, it's the world's biggest competition. Like you said, over 1.3 billion people watching it. It's like eyes are everywhere, so
Well, it's actually more than that. I think so. What was the 2018 one was held in Russia? There was
yeah.
over I think 3.5 total billion viewers, but just the finale alone, it had over 1.2 billion people watching and streaming the finale.
Yeah.
So it's crazy just to notice how huge of a game it is, and just to
Yeah.
comparatively speak it here in the United States. One of the biggest championships that they have here is the Super Bowl. People go crazy for
So
that. They literally quit their jobs for it. Tickets are like $5,000 just for nosebleed seats, and that the Super Bowl brings in anywhere from like 90 to 100 million people per year. But the World Cup is literally bringing in anywhere from 10 to 15 times the amount of that, just because it's such a global sensation.
yeah, and I just want to say, like, look at the different kinds of sponsors. World Cup. They got Coca-Cola. They got a lot of like big names because they know even Budweiser as well. Which we'll talk about that. That kind of controversy later. But I also want to say, like, trying to give like a highlight to the World Cup itself and the stars that are playing. So if you guys don't know, the two best players in my opinion who are playing in the World Cup are Cristiano Ronaldo, who's 37, and then Leo Messi. So I think this World Cup is also very special because of the fact that it's gonna be their last World Cup, unless somehow they, extend and they want to play even more. But most likely, it's gonna be their last World Cup, which is sad because they're both the two goats of our generation. You could say they're like kind of like in NFL terms, if people relate to it, like maybe like Tom Brady, or if you think about it like in NBA terms, that would be like Michael Jordan. So just trying to give the audience like that kind of perspective of what kind of players are in this competition, and this competition is a special one. I don't know if we didn't mention this, but this is taking place during the winter time because of all the heat that Qatar has. So that's why this makes this World Cup much more different than all the previous World Cups, which used to be held in June July period. So you guys, Harsh and Arrow, you guys want to add anything to it?
I mean, not specifically this um course of the
Yeah,
topic, but
you
I mean,
guys,
yeah,
you
I
you
think
guys, you got a team that you're rooting for, or you're just watching,
I don't
like
know.
just
I
at a
used
cause.
to. I'm not a huge follower for football. I used to follow a lot of it when I was young. Like probably in my teens. Not anymore. I am just a FIFA fan now. Now these days, I used to play FIFA,
Germany,
PlayStation. That's about it. Yeah, I'm,
Germany,
you
Harsh,
know. Yeah,
Germany.
you
You got
know.
to support Germany with me. You got to support Germany with
Germany,
me.
Germany.
Go
That's for
Germany, bro.
sure. That's for sure. That's for sure. I
I think
have to.
Harsh found a team. So
But I haven't been no, I haven't been keeping updated on specific game itself, but what's going on around this year's tournament, and how it's become a controversy, and how the whole deal has shaped around it. That's what I've been keeping tabs upon specifically.
yeah, unfortunately, I mean, just due to the lighting itself, right? The World Cup is supposed to be like the world's biggest stage. It's supposed to be all about positivity, right? Like when you see it on the field, it's supposed to bring every people like together, people of color, no matter what happens, right? It doesn't matter. It's a world. It's known as the world's beautiful game. So it's supposed to bring it together, but there's a lot of controversies that we're going to talk about that kind of it's not really discussed in a normal, like I guess in an everyday conversation, but it is something that I think is to note because of all the sacrifices and struggles to even make this World Cup possible. So I guess if you
Exactly.
if you
And
Franz, I think you want to say something.
yeah, just I mean, there's always controversy all the time whenever there's a big event going on. Again, with the World Cup, it's held every 4 years. I know there was a lot of controversy back when it was held in Russia in 2018. The same thing in Brazil in 2014. There's always going to be controversy no matter what. However, I think this time it seems like it's a shame because it seems like the controversy is kind of maybe in some parts or in some aspects have been overshadowing the beauty of the World Cup, and it's being held in Qatar right now. So quick background: the countries are selected usually way in advance. So Qatar, they won their bid in 2010 to be the host of the World Cup for 2012. So that was what 12 years ago. Now the major speculations that are going around it right now that are getting like people riled up and a lot of organizations and journalists and people boycotting this event is the modern day slavery aspect. So I'm not sure if a lot of the audience knows, but what they were doing is these companies in Qatar were doing sponsorship visas where they were getting people from countries such as Nepal, Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, majority from that area, some from Africa, and maybe a very minority in South America. But they were getting people from these places, and unfortunately, a lot of these people came from they didn't have work in their nation, so they were seeing it as an opportunity to go and work overseas and send money back home to their families, which in their eyes seemed like a good opportunity and it sounded good. However, what ended up happening is when these guys would go over to Qatar, they were signing documents over that were first of all in Arabic, and these guys didn't know the language. So when they were signing that, they were basically signing their life over because they had their rights stripped away, their passports taken, they couldn't leave, they couldn't find a different job, and if they tried to leave, they would to go to a different job, they would basically get deported. Some people weren't getting paid their proper wage. Some people were getting barely paid at all. There was a big noise against human rights violations. So it was basically nightmare, and it took several years for that to come to light. And I mean, we've seen this all the time in different World Cups, but it seemed to be more prevalent in this World Cup just because Qatar being such a powerful nation or a rich nation didn't actually have the infrastructure at all to support the World Cup. But I'm not sure if you guys know the statistics. They spent over $300 billion just to host this game. And when you're spending
Wow.
that kind of money and need to build that kind of infrastructure, you need a lot of people. And that's how they were sponsoring these guys. And unfortunately, thousands, I think the estimates anywhere from between 6 to 10,000 people died, and their families were not compensated. They themselves were not compensated. So it's just a shame to see, it's a shame to see of what happened and how this controversy is kind of overshadowing the game itself.
Yeah, I think Franz, you do have an important point. I think these kind of people that are coming from all these different countries, I mean, it's really sad to know that because they're just going there for a better life, a better opportunity, but being signed to this kind of contract in order to do this slavery is it's really sad to see. Like every time I like I'll be honest, I watch these games, I always think about them as well because without them this wouldn't be possible. All these stadiums, there's eight
But
stadiums in total.
that's
But
the thing though. No one thinks about it. I mean, even me, like
I
when
do.
I'm watching the game, I'm just watching the game. I'm not thinking about like who was built and whatever. And it's a shame because we as humans, we do have like that empathy and heart. But as soon as something comes along that's different, our minds changes to that direction. So it's like, yeah, these controversies happened, but yet when the games turn on, the people are buying merch, the people are watching it, people are enjoying it. So it's just like these controversies have been overshadowing the games, but yet people still turn a blind eye to it.
It's because I mean, if you think about it, it's a game, right? I mean, within the moment, people are not gonna like they're gonna think about who's gonna score the goal, who's the star, is Messi, is Ronaldo there, is it's
Yeah,
it's
people
it's
are
a
enjoying the
distraction,
moment.
you know?
They're in the moment. So it's like
Yeah.
people just turn, like I said, people turn a blind eye. So I'm not sure in regards to Harsh's or Arrow's perspective of what they know about it or what their opinion is towards it.
No. So here's the situation. What's the deal? Like, do we have like what 160,000 migrant workers over there, or I'm not here. I'm hearing varying statistics, but um, so we can all agree that most of the migrant workers are from Southeast Asia, and obviously some from South America and some from Africa, but majority wise is from Southeast Asia. And yeah, I mean the climate that these workers work on is like high buildings, high rises, and certain circumstances accidents do happen. And I think the statistics going to that believe is around 6,500 people died in the construction of the World Cup. And that is an unfortunate case. If you look at even the famous tower in New York, what is it? Is it the Chrysler Tower? I'm not sure what it was called, but even that one
Empire
has,
The
Empire State Building.
Empire
yeah,
State Building. Yeah, that's what.
Empire State Building. Even that
Yeah.
one has like people dead. Even the Hoover Dam or the bridge in San Francisco, like all these major constructions have death. And yeah, we do. We can all agree that there's like slave labor where the country like who are more wealthy would bring in these migrant workers, knowing fully well that they're not going to pay them as much and they don't have to abide by many rules because at the end of the day, what they're offering these migrant workers is a little bit more money compared to what their home countries can offer. So that's the incentive. And yes, there are circumstances where people don't get paid. It just depends on who their employers are because within this whole ordeal, there's many contractors, and it just I I think if you get bad luck, you end up in the wrong contract, and you technically kind of screwed. Um,
But do you have any?
but
You guys have any like suggestions? Or I mean, I know that people there they were saying that they were passing
Yeah.
reforms to create more, more laws towards these migrant workers. But it seems like those weren't really followed through and working. So, do you guys have any other
I would
Yeah.
suggestions of what could have been done,
I
or
would
do you
say
think that this
there's
is just prevalent and no matter what's going to happen?
it's always prevalent.
exactly.
It's
It's just gonna
prevalent,
keep
yeah.
happening. And here's the thing: the only reason this is coming into this much limelight is because of this tournament because it was for FIFA. That's
Yeah.
about it. Other than that,
Exactly.
dude, do you know how many construction workers die in these third world countries every single day?
Oh yeah,
Oh
Or not
yeah.
just construction.
it's
A
never
lot.
It's
ending.
just yeah, it's manufacturing, and they never get any. any payment from their companies. They're just left to live how they are. They lose limbs, they lose hands, legs, and whatever, but they're just
Yeah.
left to live as they are. And they go to public hospitals and government hospitals, and where they don't get the best care. The only thing is that if you look at America and more developed and advanced societies, the cost of life has increased much more. But in these countries, the cost of life is not as much, and that's why people try to get labor and workers from these countries. That's what Qatar did. Exactly, that's
Arsh,
what
I,
happened.
I, I agree with your point that yes, like for example, in these in like the more like rural areas or poor countries, like like Bangladesh or Nepal, there's a lot of people dying in their jobs, construction, whatever it might be, mining. The key difference I want to point out, and that I think that people are getting upset about, is that Qatar is a developed nation, even though it's
Yeah.
on the eastern side of the world, eastern hemisphere. It is a very rich nation. It's very powerful. It has a lot of
Well, why
influence.
why are they rich,
And
France?
well, they're rich because of the area. Most of the countries there are rich because of oil, and then also they have a huge gas
Yep,
reserve
exactly.
in the Gulf Strait
Exactly.
there. So what I'm trying to say is with Harsh, it's like yeah, there's people dying in the poor countries or not developed countries, and yeah, the laws now might be beneficial towards the workers there. But the thing is, what doesn't make sense to me, and what seems definitely unfair, and again, I mean, it is what it is. That's the way life is going right now. Is the fact that these companies in Qatar that are powerful, not let alone powerful, that are wealthy, are sponsoring these people and then putting them into a modern day slavery again, like I stated. So
Hmm.
and they're not offered any insurance. I mean, their living conditions are horrible. They're barely getting any money, food, things of that nature, let alone any health care. So yes, I understand that, but to some sort of degree, there has to be some sort of responsibility held within these countries because it's not like they're going working for another company that's just in a poor rural area. They're going working for a wealthy company that's for a wealthy state that's in the limelight, and they're just being treated like they're nothing. Does that
They're
make sense?
basically
What I'm trying to
piece of
point
dust.
out.
Yeah, yeah, it does. It does make sense, Franz. I also want to say from my personal experience, I did go to so last year I had the chance to go to the Qatar airport. I mean, it's not Qatar itself, but I did see the life, like the people that were hiring in the airport itself. I would say just from my inspection, like a majority of them were migrant workers. There were people from which were, people building the stadiums, mostly from South Asia because I could just tell from their dialect. Like some people were from Nepal as well. So you see like what Qatar is doing in terms of getting this kind of labor itself. They're signing like what Franz is saying to these contracts, and they can't really go like if they go back home. Like what would they even do? They have nothing back home, and they're like, you know what? I want a better life, or I want to send money back to my family, back home. So they're kind of being in that forced situation, which is really really sad to see. But like we said, it's just going to keep on continuing as long as Qatar has they have the money, right? They have that kind of asset. As long as they have the work available, I think you're just going to keep seeing this trajectory increase, in my opinion. So that's one of the things. Another thing, I guess to change the topic a little bit. You guys most likely heard about the whole homophobic situation within Qatar itself. Okay, so speaking of allegations, I want to switch to the whole controversy of this bidding of the entire World Cup that's happened. Like how Qatar even got the opportunity back in 2010. So the whole situation was so all these countries, the way that the World Cup works, just for people that don't know, is there's these nations that go through this formal bidding process, and within the bidding process, whichever country gets the most votes is the country that is eligible to vote for the World Cup. However, in 2010, there was different countries that were within the bidding votes. One being the United States, I believe another one being like Japan, all these
And
things. But
Australia.
Qatar was, yeah, Australia was there too. So because everyone, if you think about it, right, everyone wants to be the World Cup host because it brings so much, income and generation and the eyes, in their country itself. Qatar, in my opinion, would not really even be known that much if it wasn't for the World Cup. Like people are just talking about this, like Qatar, Qatar, Qatar. Now it's getting their country the spotlight, their eyes all this kind of income, all this infrastructure. So it was a whole plan that they were doing in 2010 of when they apparently, okay, so this is like rumors, but they were bribing some of the officials, FIFA officials, in order
Oh,
to get them to
this
vote.
was. I don't think it was a rumor.
It's it's not rumored.
I'm
It's
pretty
now
convinced. Yeah,
there's
I mean,
actual
and
arrests right
there's
now, and
is there actual like full concrete evidence that this guy did it?
yeah, there's been
That's that.
arrests made in 2015 and in 2016. There's been indictments and all that. So, dude, some
But
people
but
even
but if you
some even some
but
of the officials came out and said yes, I was bribed. They plainly came out and I don't know their names because there was literally like 12 to 14 of
I
them, but
think
they literally
Africa.
came out.
I think some of them were from Africa. But
There was
the
people from
whole
Africa, South America, from the United
yeah
States, from Europe, uh,
yeah.
you name it, all the leagues from around the seven from the different continents, they had a piece of the pie.
So this brings the question: if they did arrest them, right, and if they did them, then Qatar technically, I mean, in my opinion, they should even be disqualified because how on earth, right, would you have these people that are being caught in the act of getting bribed, but still have the FIFA World Cup hosted?
Yeah, well, you
That
see
I
the
think, in my eyes, that's a big controversy right
I
there,
think billions of
and
dollars were already
that
spent.
thing.
Infrastructure was already developed at that point.
so here's the
But
thing.
in the legality, yeah,
You're all right. It's messed up, but at the
yeah,
end of the day, m- money talks. That's what it basically states. So at the end of the day, these
yeah.
people were getting, alleged rumors were flying around. Some people, yes, they got arrested, but at the end of the day, what were they gonna do? Because there was already what, like 2015, 2016, when these were like coming to light and arrests were being made or lawsuits were being thrown around. Qatar was already halfway through with their infrastructure. Billions of dollars have been played out, and not only that, but let's say they did stop. They took away the World Cup from Qatar. Where would they have taken it? Because they would have to find a
I
nation
mean,
to do it, and
there's
and half the
alternative
time.
hosting.
Okay, I understand. Like, for example, the United States, we United States for
Yeah, they
some
could
of them
have done
have
it.
the
They could have done
infrastructure.
it.
Yeah, let me speak, Sigmund. They have the infrastructure because of the stadiums, because of the highways. It's already been developed. Football, they will be using the American football arenas because those have the capacity. So, United States could have been a vendor for that. But what if they had gone with another nation that didn't have enough time or the right infrastructure to continue with that? So I think there was a lot of things that came into play. And at the end of the day, like I said, money talks. So I think that they were trying to make a point and arrest these individuals and trying to seem like they brought it to light and they're taking care of the problem. But really, they weren't going to take the World Cup away from Qatar.
Of course, they're not.
Yeah,
Let's just make
I
I think this
it's a
whole
lot
like
of money involved. Wherever it's money involved, exactly as you said, money talks. Simple. It's the money involved, and
yeah,
that's what talks.
in my opinion, right? I mean we already know how corrupt FIFA is. I don't know if you guys saw the video of I think it was like Sepp Blatter was one of the former FIFA presidents, but while he was in the office, one of the guys he actually threw money at him. And it was in a live press conference. You guys, if you guys haven't seen it, you guys should definitely see it. It's really
Wow.
funny.
Okay.
The guy literally goes in the press, like near where Sepp Blatter is talking, and he throws money at him. Like he literally throws money, and the money's just like flying and stuff. And Sepp Blatter is like, "Oh, what's happening? What's happening?" He's confused, but he's obviously a snake. I call him a snake. He's one of the biggest snakes to known for all this FIFA corruptions. He's behind all this. So he's a guy that I don't personally like. So
But
I'm
then
glad
again,
that
I
he's
don't
out.
understand. I don't. Sorry, not to interrupt you. I don't understand why people are so surprised because corruption has not been. It didn't start. It's been going on for
Exactly.
ages.
Yeah. I don't know why it's. Yeah. I don't
Yeah,
know why it's become a big deal right now. I mean, it's been going
yeah,
on. It's everywhere. There is no place
yeah,
around that there is no corruption. It's everywhere. People are
yeah. I don't know.
corrupt. You have power. They're
Yeah,
gonna make use of it. Simple.
yeah. I don't know if you guys heard. I mean, this was actually a rumor, but they were saying like when Qatar and Ecuador played, Qatar was gonna give Ecuador players like 5.5, the whole team like $5.5 million
Oh yeah,
if
I heard
for
that.
Qatar to win. That those are the kind of things like obviously news flies right everywhere. You don't know what's true, what's false. Obviously, we saw by the score that Ecuador won. So most likely, maybe they wire transferred it to the wrong team. I don't know, but
But hold up,
it didn't work.
let me mention this because you were talking about how that there was a legend supposing that they had paid Ecuador to throw the game
The
off,
Ecuador.
but there's
Yeah.
actual proof of Qatar. They were actually sending out. I don't know. They were doing like this program where they would pay for fans, they would pay for their flights, their hotel, and their stadium tickets if they came and cheered for Qatar, sang their anthem, chanted
Oh,
for them, posted on social media, and for people that were doing things that were against them or they're doing things that were kind of like against the law or bad mouthing Qatar, that they were to report them to the authorities. That's actually what actually happened.
yeah.
And several I think it was several days or several weeks before the start of the tournament. I think FIFA came in or whatever organization, and they told them to put a stop to it, and Qatar did. But just look at that the allegation that you're saying that they paid Ecuador. There was actual allegations
Hmm.
that came out to be true that they were paying people to they were sponsoring people's whole trip just so they can be fans of Qatar
Fans.
and throw out
Mm.
haters basically. So I mean
Yeah.
they got the money for it. Don't get me wrong. They're
Yeah.
multi-trillion
They're
nation.
They
rich.
got all the money.
But
Yeah, they got all the money, man.
They're gonna make it rain, So
and I mean at the end of the day, like yeah, to some people it seems messed up, but like if I was a member of that nation, I'd want the best for my nation. I want all the spotlight, the limelight. So in one sense, I kind of understand why they're doing some of the things because they want to. Again, Qatar's been overshadowed by Saudi Arabia and also especially the UAE with Dubai and Abu Dhabi.
yeah.
So Qatar wants to be on the spotlight because they are very modernized. They have a very modern city. They have great
Oh yeah.
education, healthcare system. So I know they want to be on the spotlight. So I kind of understand to see why they spent all this money and time and resources to make themselves look like this great nation. It's just like there's some aspects that they do have that kind of seems immorally wrong. But again, there's always going to be corruption. There's always going to be people using money to win in their benefit.
Yeah, and just like as we said before, the eyes are just on the World Cup, so that's why this corruption, this whole scandal is just being in place because just the amount of impact that it has, right? Like young people are watching this and everything, right? So it has a nation like not nation, sorry, worldwide impact. So that is true. I don't know if you guys
They,
saw just
you,
one last thing, one last thing about just that whole money thing. I don't know if you guys saw this video of this Ecuador fan. He was so in I think it was in the 20th or the 30th minute. He was like putting the money, like he was doing like money gestures in front of the Qatari people, and the Qatari people were like kind of giving him faces, and they were like arguing with him as well. So
I
it
think
kind
I
of
saw
shows
that. Yeah, I
what
think
kind
I
of
saw that.
yeah, yeah. The guy was being a troll, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Just because the whole fact of what's happening, in Qatar, it's the impact, right? It's the impression. Like you're having
Hmm.
fans, South American fans, doing this, putting the money, like the money gesture, in front of your own like people, right? That kind of shows like what kind of impression this tournament has. So that's
Welcome to
that's that's
welcome
that's
to
the
the new
funny
age,
thing.
cuz. Um,
Welcome. I mean, that's money talks, right? So as
What
we
did you
you know
said.
say?
what?
So
What did you say, bro?
I, what I said, welcome to the new age.
Oh, okay.
what surprised me though is so I know that Qatar, being that it's a very strict Muslim country and they follow the Islamic law, but they did commit to having alcohol during licensed vendors and arenas. But what's funny is, and Budweiser paid $75 million to be one of the main sponsorships for those vendors. But once they made that commitment and promise, not even a few days before the game started, they went back on that and they took off all alcohol from vendors, from bars, everything with that, and they're only selling, juices, water, and non-alcoholic beverage. So they really backtrack on that, and
Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? That's so
it's
funny. Like, I mean, you have all these fans, right? Especially like English fans, like people from England, they're really mad. Obviously, people from US as
people were
well. I mean,
mad.
they're kind of
People were
mad because
mad, and people were thinking, oh, you're
they
going to
were
lose so much money
mad.
on alcohol sales, but they don't need that money from those alcohol sales. Really, it's not going to do
They
anything
they
for
don't
them.
need money. It's a show for them. It's just a show for them to show their clout. It's a show of status that, oh, you know what, Qatar can host the world's biggest tournament in the world. They don't care about anything like any money that's bringing to the whole Qatar itself because they can just supply that with all their oil and everything that they have, right? So it's not it. But even when I saw that news, like they said they were going to do it in a few days ago, that really got me surprised, and I think that's disappointing for the fans because they can't really enjoy a game. I mean, come on, non-alcoholic beer and watching like a game like with all that passion, with all that atmosphere. I don't know if you guys have been to a football stadium, but it's like the energy that you can feel from the whole crowd itself. It makes you like it makes you feel alive, makes you feel different. So even having those like drinks kind of helps too. So it was kind of surprising.
I'm curious. They spend so and so billions of dollars building these tournaments, and I mean the stadiums and infrastructure. How much are they? How much money are they going to make off of this? Like,
Their estimate projections are between 17 to 20 billion dollars.
oh, so 280 billion down the
Out of
Woo!
drain.
what? Hold
So
on, no.
they
Out
spent
of
the
what? I mean, what is this money out of? Is this just the revenue of
revenue from the
viewership? That's
stadium,
it.
revenue from the stadiums, hotels,
TV.
sponsorships, to ticket sales, things like merchandise, things of those nature. They're projected
So,
they're going to
but
make
but
17 to 20 billion
do they
dollars.
get the revenue from viewerships on TV? Because that's their major or stream of revenue. I think that's their
So
largest stream of revenue.
So
Revenue.
so that is also a part of the revenue. However, I know there's been some issue because the thing is, what happens with these broadcasts is, they buy the rights to the broadcast, like these channels, they buy the rights to
Mm-hmm.
like anywhere from 8 to 10 years prior. So the thing is with the World Cup is because it's normally held between June July. These
Mm-hmm.
broadcasting channels had already paid for that for June, July. However, since it was changed because of the weather and the heat, to November, December, these companies were very upset because they were gonna the broadcast. I guess it was gonna run into some shows that they already had planned that they were running, or TV shows, movies, whatever, etc. So I know there was some companies that were, like filing lawsuits or asking for money back because they, I guess, had paid in advance. I know there was like a French media channel that had already paid, I think, anywhere from 350 to $400 million in advance for the rights to the broadcast for their country. So I know there was like some issue with that. So I don't know if they had to
Yeah,
refund some people or they had to give them some discounted price. But I know there was a whole controversy with just that business alone right there.
yeah. In
Wow.
terms of US, I know Fox has the rights to the FIFA World Cup, and then Fubo as well. I don't know if you guys know what Fubo is. But Fubo
No,
also
what
has
is
the
it?
rights to the. So Fubo is like a streaming service. So
Yeah.
it basically gives you like different sports and stuff. So
So
they
just
they're
going
they're
back,
like two of the main ones.
so going
Yeah,
back to Arrow's point is how much revenue they're going to make. Again, the projections were around 17 to $20 billion, of the 300 million that they have spent, but they're not looking this as making money on it for short term because no, really, World Cup, they're not making money from it short term, unless this was back
Yeah,
in
because
like
the
the
stadiums
19.
are going to be there. It's an investment in an
Yeah, they're
asset,
going to
right?
be
It's going to be
upkeeps
an asset.
with, they're looking at their it's because they have the money to spend. They're looking at getting people's eyes. Now people are going to want to come on vacation there. Let me
yeah,
just to mention, I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but you know how American football is big here in the United States. What's actually going
yeah.
on is, Saudi Arabia has actually been in talks of creating their own football league. So I'm not sure if this is like a plan for what's going to be going on in the future. Of
Dude, where are they going to get players from?
What
They
was
don't know
that?
how to play. Wherever they're going to get their players from.
I mean,
I mean,
it's all money. It's all money talks, right?
They'll
right.
they're
just
they're gonna convert them.
they'll just bring people from like South America and Europe, and they create a team.
No,
Bro,
I
how
mean,
are they how are they gonna
bro,
be
hold up, look at the draft. I mean, there's only select players selected from the NFL every
yeah.
year. So whatever might be remaining, they could just be drafted for the
The
Saudi Arabia
leftovers?
league or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's gonna
In
be
terms of
it'll
Man.
be a new league, but at the end of the day, once it starts getting momentum, and these guys got money to pay, you're not telling me
oh,
these
these
people
got bank.
that are playing on the NFL, they might not be going over there for double the money. You might be crazy. So.
Tom Brady extends his contract to Saudi Arabia, bro. He
Yeah,
wants that
Saudi
bag, bro.
Arabia for $500 million or double what he's getting paid.
Man's gonna play till he's 50 just to go
Yeah,
there. So, so another thing I want to add, I just didn't want to forget about it. So the stadiums in Qatar, once this whole World Cup is done, obviously they're gonna keep the main one, the Khalifa Stadium. That one's the international stadium for where the Qatar national team plays. But all the rest of the stadiums, they're gonna convert it to like shopping malls. Or there's one stadium, I don't know if you guys knew, that's pretty much 80% is made out of recyclable materials. So they're just gonna break that
Oh,
up and then
oh.
they're gonna donate that to other like countries that needs those kind of recyclable materials. So that's an interesting fact right there. But all the I think I would say like six of them from what I read are gonna be like shopping malls. So it's further development for them. So just want to add that.
Also, six stadiums are going to be converted into shopping malls. Is what's going to happen.
Yeah, like shopping malls, maybe like some kind of other like parks or something like recreational. So
How
it's
many
gonna
total
be
stadiums did they build over there?
So it's total stadiums is seven that they built. The eighth one, the Khalifa Stadium, the international is renovated. What Franz is saying is it used to be kind of bad, but now of course with the World Cup, they've had to like clean it up. So that one is their main one. So they've
And
spent
what
a
about?
lot of money.
I don't know if we. I don't know. I think I lost track. I don't know if we talked about the LGBTQ community. Like, I mean, because I know the whole
Um,
country is not very, you know, what do you call
they're
receptive
not
of
friendly.
that specific.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're not
they're not
friendly.
friendly.
And
Yeah.
also, I mean, there's going to be all kinds of visitors, and it's in Islamic countries. So how do you think that's going to play out with
I don't think they mind.
people from all over the world?
I don't think they mind you being LGBTQ from outside, but if you're
Hmm.
from the inside, I think they mind that. Which kind of goes
Oh, I
to
see. Yeah, makes
which kind of
sense.
goes to saying like what is it? People don't care about their neighbors, but as soon as the like let's say if their neighbor is sick, people don't really care. But if you're sick or your siblings are sick, you will care. So I guess at that situation, they don't they don't really care about outsiders because they know at the end of the day, these people will go back to their home countries.
And I
I
just want
think
to let the audience know this was a metaphor. Being gay is not a sickness, right? That's just a metaphor right there.
yes, yes. Thank you,
No,
Hart,
no,
for
no,
that
no.
disclaimer.
I was not referring to being gay, being sick. I was just using an example.
That's exactly what I said, Arrow. I was just clearing it out for the audience, saying that's not what you did. You just gave a metaphor. That's what I
Yeah,
said.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know.
So,
I guess I should have made it clear to you as well, then.
Yeah.
thank you for that disclaimer. I think what the major
The,
issue was, again, as I mentioned earlier, was because Qatar is an Islamic state, and that the issues with the LGBTQ community. It's not just that, but also the Jewish community. People were afraid of coming out there from both sides because they were afraid of security reasons, which Qatar did state that they were going to be welcoming to anyone and everyone, and that everyone would be treated kindly, fairly, and peacefully, and that they were guests in their countries. It's just that at the end of the day, something is easier said on paper and on on a TV announcement, but it's different when you're in the arena. You're in, let
yep.
alone the arena, but when you're
Actually comes
outside
to it,
in the
yeah.
city and you're walking on the streets, and at the end of the day, you don't know where the police might be, or sometimes the police might be siding with the civilians there. So that's the problem. It might sound good on paper, but is it going to look good when people are actually there walking around, roaming the streets? Or are they able to guarantee people's safety? Because if again, they've had all these controversies going around right now, and again, they're being overshadowed because the games are so big. But what if people from LGBTQ or the Jewish community are, mugged, they're beat, they're shot, they're killed? Then it's going to start creating an outrage, and who knows what it might lead to. But I mean, I don't think personally it's going to lead to anything because they're not. The country doesn't seem like a violent country. There's only 3 million people that live there, and for the most part, like I read about and seen, everyone there is grown up in pretty well known families because they are so rich that families are taken care of through birth with healthcare, education. They are actually offered great jobs after they graduate because again, the country has so much money. They're able to take care of their population because the population is so low and they have such a vast amount of resources and money. So
Is it three
Yeah.
million or
Also,
2 million? Is it well? Hold on, hold on. Was it 3 million or 2 million? Last time I looked it up, it was 2 million.
it's around
I thought it was 3 million.
closer to 3 million.
I
Okay.
thought it was 3 million when I
It's
read it.
closer to
But
three
also,
million.
yeah, also Franz, you brought up a good point about that. I don't know if you guys have heard about the whole what the players are doing in terms of kind of standing against this. Um, uh, I don't know if you guys have heard about the whole armband situation that they're doing with the one world thing, because you know how people
Yeah, I
from
saw
different
that.
countries.
So the
So there's
team
like
players are wearing that, right?
yeah. Yeah, so like Germany, I mean not all of them, right? Not all the team players are doing it, but like countries such as Germany are doing it. I believe France is doing it, but I'm not 100% sure because one of their players was like,
France are
I'm
doing
not
it.
wearing it. Yeah, the thing is
Yo,
what
France are
it
doing
also depends on the Yeah, France. So the thing is, like,
it.
it depends on the players itself, right? What their personal preference is. Because one of the players, his name was Hugo Lloris. He even quoted that I'm going to another person's country, so I'm going to respect their boundaries. Just like how if someone comes to my country, they have to respect our boundaries as well. So he kind of does have that kind of point. So he's not doing it, but some people are doing it. It just depends on the preference. So that's what I think.
Actually, that makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, you gotta respect whoever's home you're visiting. You gotta respect their rules. Their house, their rules. Simple.
Yep,
Exactly.
exactly.
That's the rule of the game.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I agree with that. I don't really see that there's a problem with that. I mean, oh wow, well we're over the 40-minute mark. We're at 44 minutes right now.
I
Nice. And
It's a
guess
passionate topic.
I guess we
yeah, I
filled
just saw
we
that.
filled it with a lot of topics. So you guys have any last thoughts?
I don't know.
My last thoughts, or actually, Harsh, you can go if you had anything.
Did we talk about the Russian participation? How Russia is playing it playing a role in the FIFA, or are they not? Or did we not talk about that?
No, we didn't mention it. That
Uh,
that was that was another
yeah,
controversy in its
there's so
own.
many, there's so many controversies that we might even
Yeah,
have to do a
there's a
part
lot
two
of
on this.
yeah. There's
That's why I mentioned every World Cup has had controversies of its
Yeah,
own, but this one has just had controversy
yeah,
just back after back
it's
to back to
it's too
back
much.
after one after another.
It's like we might have to do like a part two controversy series because of how many
so no.
controversies Qatar has. So
What's the deal with Russia though? Are they playing or not? I don't think they're playing, right?
So what happened with
no,
Russia is they got accused of dope, smoking dope,
They always get
basically.
accused.
Oh
So because they got
yeah.
accused of dope, and then also what happened with the start of Ukraine and Russian war, FIFA made the agreement to kick them out. I don't know who was replaced in there. I think whoever was supposed to be next up that got kicked out, that was like number 33, came after
yeah,
them. They got kicked out. But the controversy that's behind that is Russia got kicked out because they started a war with Ukraine. What the controversy is now is why is Saudi Arabia playing? Because Saudi Arabia started a war or like a proxy war with Yemen, and they're bombing the country. There's bombings going around. People are innocent civilians are dying there. So people are mad of why Saudi Arabia is playing when they're in a conflict with Yemen. They were also upset in other nations playing, like Iran. Why were they playing when they have support of terrorist groups, and then why they have their protests going on in their cities with the whole hijab movement and people burning the hijabs and women's rights standing up. So there's been a lot of controversies of why was Russia banned because they started conflict, but there's other nations that have started conflicts or are supporting conflicts and they're not banned. That's the whole situation that's going on with that.
it's the whole thing of I think Saudi Arabia being Qatar's neighbors and just the I guess the relations and their I guess relationship. It's also about relationship with FIFA, right? If you're cool with FIFA, I think that's kind of reciprocal. But with the Russia situation, I mean, it was like all
We
worldwide.
got to look at
And
it
they
this way.
FIFA
Let's
kind of
let
had
me
to do it.
let me bring up an analogy or a metaphor. It's like in high school, if a popular person is messing with another popular person, it's going to be big news. But
Oh,
if someone's messing with someone that no one really knows about or doesn't talk to,
Nobody. Two
they
nobodies are
no one
messing
no
with each
one
other.
no one knows. They don't know. I mean, it's a shame, but no one really cares. So it's like the fact
yeah.
that Ukraine is in Europe and there's a battle going on over there, the whole world is like, oh my god, and is being affected whole as far as politically and economically. Whereas in Yemen, unfortunately, being a support country, it is unfortunate, but a lot of these Western countries don't really care and not bringing a lot of light to it. and that's just how the world goes. There, people are influenced by power and money. They want control. So, well, if Yemen has nothing to do in their interest, they don't really care about it. But if Ukraine does, they're going to bring it to light, and they want to do something against opposition, which is Russia. That's how it goes.
Exactly. Um, in terms of, I think speaking about Ukraine, they were actually really close to qualifying for the World Cup as well, but they kind of cut it kind of short. So Russia and Ukraine aren't really involved in the
Yo,
World
let
Cup.
me ask you this,
They aren't.
since we covered a lot of controversies, but let me ask you guys just this one last thing before we ended. I want to get your guys' opinion and see who you guys think is going to win, and or what team you guys are rooting for.
Yeah, I guess
You
I
can
could
think
start.
I
Or
know
uh,
Harsh,
Harsh.
you
I know
start.
Harsh is I guess not a sports guy. He doesn't watch soccer much, so he's a hater.
I say
No,
Germany.
football. I'm saying Germany, and I'm saying I mean, in my heart, I want Germany to win, but I think realistically, I think because it's Messi's last World Cup, I think Argentina is gonna win. So
Yeah. So
I don't want them to
so
win, but
my
yeah.
favorite team is I'm always with Italy, but since Italy's not in it, I like Germany. But
Yes,
again, going with Segunda because I feel like Messi is like I feel like one of the best players, and he has so many accolades and achievements. I think the World Cup would be the last one just to put a career at
exactly.
end and be like a great legacy for him. So I really kind of like I would really like Messi to win for Argentina, and
Yeah.
um,
But
there's been a lot of
before
there's been a lot of people saying that there might be a possibility of a final match between Argentina and Portugal,
Ronaldo.
which would be
Oh
pretty
yeah.
wild. It would be pretty wild.
I think that would be pretty wild. Imagine like Ronaldo scores like a penalty in the last minute and Portugal wins. I think that's gonna start a whole like it's gonna start a chain. I don't think we want to live in that reality. So yeah, just I think just to kind of close it off is that I think the World Cup we just gotta just enjoy the rest of the games. I'm personally looking forward to the United States versus Iran game that's coming up. So, due to the histories, of course, obviously gonna keep rooting for Germany. Hopefully, Germany makes it as far as possible. But I think end of the day, like we said, Argentina is gonna win it. Yeah, just I guess we've covered a lot of controversies. We've covered a lot of topics with this beautiful game. Just wanted to say, if you guys enjoyed this podcast, listening to all our debates, all our passion that we have for this game, feel free to basically rate, comment, also subscribe to us on YouTube as well. Follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, share it on Instagram. I think this is the game that everyone's talking about and everyone's going to talk about for the whole month. So thank you very much. Have a nice day.